Alright, welcome everyone to another very memorable game of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Alright, so I haven't streamed too many games lately, but definitely had some really interesting games recently, and I thought I'd do a stream about them. Games that are just full of twists and turns, and really were not clear until the very end how they would go. So these games were not part of any formal tournament, but they were ranked games at around the 1100 to 1200 or maybe 1300 level. Alright, so the first game was on Arabia, and we have here the warm colored team here. We have purple playing Bohemians on the left flank. On the right flank we have the Celts playing, red playing the Celts. And then the pocket position, and this is actually me here, playing Georgians in the pocket position. Opposite side, we have blue here playing Koreans. So just turning up the volume there on the right flank. And then on the other side, we have teal playing Burmese. And then in their pocket position here, we have the Goths. All right, so I'm just going to speed it up here a little bit before we... not too much happening just at the beginning. All right, just a couple things I'll mention then. So obviously, Celts are a infantry civ here on the wing, Goths as well. In fact, Burmese is also a infantry civ, so we really have the whole left side of the map is just infantry civ. So we may see some kind of infantry duel here on the left side, and then of course Koreans with their amazing onagers, so we'll just have to wait and see if those come into play. And then Bohemians, of course, known for the Wagenburg tactics, so the gunpowder units moving quickly, Hussite reforms, so monks. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Nobody in the feudal age yet, but we do see a little bit of just kind of tinkering around here, but otherwise pretty calm. All right. So I'll be showing two games today. Some of the players are in both games. These games were played, as I mentioned, very recently. Again, just very long games, as is typical of the style here on this channel, and just very memorable. Obviously, most games are not quite as long as this, so these are not the average length. I should probably not give too much away here, but just think to those who play this game, they will be familiar with that. All right, I'm just going to go check the sound quickly, so I shall be back in a moment. All right, we are back. All right, so most folks are up into the feudal now. Everyone except blue. Many players dropping the feudal age walls. Green here doing the same. Going for the fast, I believe that's a fast, yeah, that's a fast castle. Market and blacksmith. He did build the barracks though. So everyone now is up to feudal age, and teal has some scouts. Right, so I'm just going to slow it down a little bit here and check the sound one more time. Sorry, folks, 1 second. Alright, looks like we're in. Everything is working sound-wise anyway. Alright, so first engagement of the game, we see teal here coming for red. Red doing an amazing job here of just walling off Perfect timing. And so teal is not able to raid these berries, and he gives up on that endeavor. Meanwhile, on the south side, we see that purple is moving ahead with some archers. No action so far from green and yellow. Alright, so red did a really amazing job here of walling off both his gold and his berries. We were chatting on the during the game, and he was not too happy that he had forgotten to wall off these folks down here. So unfortunately, in these games, you can do 10 things right, but then the 11th thing, if it's wrong, then it kind of screws everything up a little bit, but we should be okay. Blue going for a very strange run across. I did not actually see that during the game at all. Purple really catching blue off guard. Multiple villagers down. We see his vill count is, well, it's not quite below average, but definitely went for a run across the map, did not wall off. Red is succeeding in chasing teal away. So again, teal is the Burmese player here, so they do later on, of course, have the Manipur cavalry, which are good against archers. Of course, that doesn't come into effect until, I believe, the castle, and maybe in the, possibly in the Imperial Age, I can't quite remember. And of course, they're known for their elephants as well, and their infantry. Alright, so purple having chased off a huge amount of blue's villagers. Blue is now kind of building a second base there. His units here are being chased off by spears. And teal is now poking around looking for more targets. Now I thought I had done a reasonably good job of walling off. Of course, leave it to Age of Empires, good old misclicks of misclicks. I send a villager here to repair the gate. Just have to keep an eye on what happens here. So here comes a villager, cart 2 unfortunately. His job is to repair the gate. I thought I had locked the gate, I really thought I did, but instead my good fellow here opens the gate for the cavalry, gets himself killed, and lets in the cavalry. So really poor performance there by that villager. Oops, that was a bit noisy. Alright, so green, the team west here, or team south rather, definitely ahead. Green up to the castle age and is shooting out knights as Goths. Purple doing an amazing job of fighting that. Meanwhile, I am dealing with just a bunch of cav inside of my base. Really contradicts the whole point of walling off. Unfortunately, that's how it goes sometimes. But red, compensating for my missteps, and is going to be attacking on the right side of the north side of the map with archers. And purple also putting on a lot of pressure here on the southern side of the map. Finally did manage to take down those cavalry, but looks like I will not be getting too much respite because look at this, green has also cavalry being built. Okay, I think I missed this here, but red took out a large number of villages here. Purple and red doing an amazing job of putting pressure. Team North is actually ahead now in the score. Until now they were behind, but they are now ahead. You can see their chatter here. Blue is saying that he's more or less okay, still not walled off, but he's going up to castle now. You see his vill count is quite low, and so is the vill count of teal. Actually, not that low, actually. What am I talking about? So purple really having a decent force here, 22 archers, and then Tarhunt here, red having 17. So really the two flanks here doing overtime and keeping Team North in the game. Meanwhile, green was first to castle. I believe he is now doing his cavalry upgrades, and he's got a large force of cavalry now walking across the map. So this game, it's gonna have really, you can already see it now, so many unexpected turns here. I mean, it's not really clear how it's gonna go, but both teams definitely still in it. Purple wisely retreating, and here comes yellow. This is me here with my first cavalry in the game. So Georgians, of course, being a cavalry civ, they do have that upgrade later on, which reduces the amount of population that the Cav take. Of course, I'm not, or I am in castle, but I believe that is an upgrade that doesn't come into effect until a little bit later. Alright, I'm being chased here by all of Green's cavalry. I think I lose this guy. Whoops. Too bad. Alright, so Team North here doing alright so far. Purple was signaling here that we should be fighting together, but I thought I could do more damage just going rogue here and trying to slip in. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Green wisely staying away from Purple's mass archers here. So we see Yellow putting down multiple town centers. Teal is up to 3 town centers now. He's got his third one building. Green has his third one being built. Purple at 1 town center. Yellow has his third coming down. Red still hasn't built any new ones. So definitely the economy-wise, Team South is ahead. You can see this with the amount of workers. But Team North actually headed with the army count. So that's an interesting dynamic here. So the onus really is on Team North now to do something with their army before it's too late. And we see, I believe this is what we're going to be seeing right now. Purple got his, whoopsies, I think I missed my own raid here. So I do manage to slip in. Something was not finished. There's a hole somewhere here, and I managed to run in and make a nuisance of myself. But Green, not to be outdone, is sending just a friendly group of cavalry northward. We'll have to keep an eye on them. Alright, so I said that Team North needed to do something with their superiority in army, and we'll see if that's what we're about to see. So I think I took out a couple more villages here, but Green's vill count remains quite high. Okay, so Purple is raiding here and there. But Blue is more or less unscathed. He's got 4 TC, so he is definitely still in the game. And then on the north flank, Red is coming. But what's happening here? Green coming for Yellow, the pocket player. So Team North is actually ahead in the score here, so once again it flipped. But Green catching Yellow at a perfect time, and I'm not sure what I was thinking here. A little bit of a panic drop here. Should have really dropped a siege workshop here. I'm not really sure what I was thinking. Probably my biggest noob move of the game. So this is not going well for me, and for some reason I decided to even cancel that. And I am now being ransacked. But Red doing damage to Teal. You see Teal's vill count going down, and Purple still running around here. I'm not really sure what he was doing here. You see he's kind of out in the boonies. But here he is going back to Blue. Alright, so what you're seeing right now is players on both teams being raided quite hard. I do try to compensate and build a new TC over here, but I actually don't have enough room in that TC, and so I am losing villages. This was definitely not a good moment for me, and I didn't really want to tell my allies just because I saw that they were raiding, so I wanted to let them keep raiding. But unfortunately, my situation is getting a bit dire. Purple here, I didn't see this. Scared away by these onagers. Blue doing a really good job with his Korean onagers, mangonels, I mean, to kind of scare off Purple. Really impressive, actually. So Purple is, I mean, he's got a large army. This remains very threatening. He's going to try to sneak around, but Blue doing a good job of defending. Alright, Red is raiding here, and I am, for the first time, calling for help. I just decided this is, these knights are really giving me a pain, and if I let this go on much longer, then I'm going to be potentially crippled. So Red coming straight into Green's base, causing some idle time. Green actually having a very large force here. Not completely clear why he wasn't attacking. We were commenting on this later on in the game. It wasn't really clear why he didn't attack. Somehow gets spooked and decides to to run off, decides the engagement is not worth it. Red just decided really keeping green preoccupied here. I guess they were waiting for the scorpions, but still these knights really could have been doing a lot of damage up here in yellow's base and my base up here. Instead they are preoccupied here in the south. Alright, so purple continuing to do damage. But blue is defending relatively well. And so we see that the scorpions do come into effect now. And they more or less mop up. Yep, they mop up this force here. Okay, you know what? It's not really the end of the world. We were commenting on this after the game. So actually both purple and red came to help me. Big salute to my allies here. Thank you so much for helping a weak pocket player at the moment in need of rescue. So big thanks. Yeah, I really misplayed that there, and yeah, not my... I don't think I mentioned this, but yeah, definitely not my best game. But it's when you look at the game as a whole, I think it's got a lot of different dynamics there. Alright, so we were commenting later that green, having wasted a lot of time with his knights, allowed red and purple to kind of build up. But that piece, that kind of delay, which red had caused by raiding green, it is now over. However, he has managed to get the castle up. His economy is now up and running. He's got, I believe, 3 or 4 TCs. Dropping another castle over here. Purple has needed to retreat now, but he is on the elevation there and actually taking out these war wagons very efficiently. A bit of an unfortunate exchange there for blue. But Team South, you know, they just keep coming. So here comes green for more fun. Another round. Saying hello to yellow one more time. Alright, so blue did get a shot out there. So overall, we see that Team South, they are ahead economically and now ahead militarily. So actually, Team South definitely has the advantage. And now Red, who until now has been doing an amazing job of pushing against Teal and even Green, is now himself under a lot of danger. And this is not looking pretty, actually. So red does need to put a lot of villagers, a lot of idle time now, needing to shelter these. I'm not really sure. I don't really remember how he gets out of this. Drops a castle there. I mean, perfect timing. These guys just run away right then. So he does lose a lot of villagers. So this is really one of the more dire moments, I think, in the game for Team North, as far as I can tell so far. So these villagers, this is just absolutely hilarious. They just run for the hills, literally running for the hills. And let's just go here. I believe it's like this. They do not see them, you know. They're looking for them. They're looking for these villagers, but they do not see them. But they do find me. So they don't find Red's villagers who are up there. Who have escaped, but Green does find mine, and that's where his attention comes next. So Red has really been hit hard. These conquistadors still sitting right in the middle of the base. Red did get that castle up as well as this one, so his base is relatively well fortified. That the same cannot be said for Yellow, who is hurting badly, and this is of course me here. And at this stage I'm kind of just fighting for my dear life here. Can't seem to get a cluster of troops up worth mentioning. But who's on the way? Purple. So we were communicating really closely. Purple really just what do you call that? Just lifting the team right now. He's got the team on his back. Did not realize how desperate the situation was, and is playing absolutely amazingly. He's actually the strongest player in the game right now, stats wise, and is not letting the odds intimidate him at all. And we see he's also dropping a castle now, getting ready for defensive game. He's got 3 TCs, so actually in good shape. Alright, so another really bad moment here for me. The wall does not go up. Again, not clear what I was thinking here. Should have just canceled these farms and dropped some universities or something. But panic took hold. More villagers are being lost, and yellow is in rough shape. I think I have the lowest number of vills in the game. So definitely trying to fight back here with a couple of pikes, but definitely not performing so well at the moment. Purple, though, showing up in the nick of time, taking out these knights. Alright, so we see that Team South is really just building up more and more here. They are ahead, still ahead economically by at least 60 villagers, 60, 70 villagers. Really impressive. Teal has got a bunch of castles. Their economies are pumping. Green here is upgrading all kinds of... he's making the transition to infantry. He still has a lot of cavalry, but he is transitioning slowly to infantry as a Goth, as one would expect from a Goth. And blue is completely recovered, more or less. Has more villagers than all of each individual player on Team North. 97 villagers versus 96, which is the highest on Team North, which is red. So the situation is pretty dire here, actually, for Team North. Not completely clear what they can do. I'm feeling so behind. I do manage to get up to Imp, but I'm just feeling so behind here. I did have a lot of gold. I decided to just give it away to one of my allies who can do something useful with it, because I am just really hurting. But slowly trying to get back in the game. Alright, we see this amazing... This was apparently... Red did not see this in-game. But we've got these two castles. Both were thinking the exact same thing at the same time. Got to build a castle on this elevation. And that's what they do. So red drops his castle and gets it up. And purple is supporting with this invincible force of arbalesters, which are still there. But purple, who's been lifting the team, who's had the team on his shoulders, so to speak, for a long time, now coming under pressure himself by blue, the same player who he had raided really hard early in the game. Well, what comes around goes around, I guess, and blue is now coming to put pressure on purple. Alright, so the first army of any kind to speak of for yellow. Desperately trying to help out somewhere here. And then we see these two armies kind of high-fiving. They don't see each other. Unfortunately, he does find my army, though, and so the list of facepalm moments continues for me. And so I do believe he does short work of these spears, or these pikemen. Alright, so Team South is still notably ahead. But the vill count is slowly slimming. It's down to 50. It was about 60 before. Purple really, and this is, I say this in a positive way, he really did not, he did not get the memo that we were, in a rough spot. He is still playing as if we're winning, which is amazing. So he's going on the attack here. And got a huge amount of kills here. Manages to stop that castle from going up. And is putting a lot of pressure on Team South, which is allowing Team North to get the heck back into this game, to rebound, to get those TCs down, and to give Team North a chance of winning this game. However, as a result, because purple was fighting alone, his valiant army of arbalesters, which until now has been lifting the team and just keeping Team North in the game, unfortunately goes down. And this is where things get really dicey for Team North. Purple, the strongest player on Team North, is now coming under pressure himself quite hard. But I don't know if you saw that. Team North briefly just went ahead in the score. So, all is not decided. And we will just have to keep our eyes on this. So, the worker difference is now 10. Was 60, was down to 50. And now, for all intents and purposes, Team North has now completely eliminated the gap in worker count. And so the two teams now have more or less the same amount of villagers. So green has transitioned to infantry, and now the infantry are coming home to roost, or rather, they're coming to say hello. So Huskarls, elite Huskarls, I believe they're fully up. No, they're not yet. But we do have some elite. Pretty soon I'm pretty sure we'll have some elite Huskarls coming our way, and of course, Burmese, who have those strong Howdah battle elephants. being built. All right, you see here green and blue were saying let's go, and they go here. So all three teams are represented here. Teal, green, blue, everyone is coming for purple. And purple now, again, strongest player on Team North. Under a lot of pressure. Look at this, all these Huskers, elite Huskers. There was a enemy at the gates moment in this game. I think this might be it. All three of Team South are coming to visit purple. They recognize purple as being the danger. And actually even red is under pressure as well here from some trebs. A little bit of an exchange here, but guess who's coming along? What is this? 51 elite Woad Raiders, fully upgraded. And this has got to be one of those classic moments here. Infantry civ against infantry civ. And we're just going to have to see how this goes. So red coming in the nick of time. Is it enough, though, to save purple's castle? Well, again, we're just going to have to go wait and see. Huskers did get through here and just causing a lot of damage to purple's economy. He's desperately trying to repair this castle. We're just going to have to keep an eye on this. Alright, here we go. So I do believe I'm coming to try to save that castle. Huskers starting to clamber across the map. And the treb goes down. And the castle lives to see another day. Just barely. Purple holds the line. So what is happening here? Red and yellow, actually, both back in action, back from the abyss, back from the brink, and more or less almost maxed out. But green, with his Huskers, is now beginning to perfusion across the map. And what's this? We see some barracks going down by green. I don't know how he got those villas. I was trying to keep an eye on that actually earlier. Some of them died to this castle, but he manages to slip them around, and he's building barracks behind Team North, right on the top there. Meanwhile, he's now got fully upgraded elite Huskers, and guess what? Bohemian Arbalesters. I mean, Bohemians are not bad with archers, but it is a rough fight against Huskers. But red is now spreading his Celtic warriors across the map and is raiding the heck out of blue, and we see blue's vill count going down quickly. Oh man, that's tough. So all kinds of Woads all over the place, but in complete mirror, Teal, who's been building up and who is actually Team South's strongest player, is now approaching with, I believe, might be fully upgraded Burmese elephants, and is walking straight into Red's base. And once again, remember what happened last time? He had to run with his villagers into the corner of the map, run for the hill as well. Is this going to be another one of those moments? We're just going to have to wait and see. He does have 5 castles here, though. 5 castles, and he's got a lot of Woads. He updated his rally point, and so it looks like Red should be okay. And yellow, who has been raided to pieces until now, is finally returning the favor with Georgian cavalry. He's got the upgrade out, so slowly he's going to have a large number of cavalry and is raiding Teal. And we see all these fortified churches going down to take advantage of that advantage that Georgians have, the economy bonus. So really just a complete echo here. We see red raiding blue, teal raiding red, yellow raiding teal, green raiding yellow, green also raiding purple. It is just an absolute mayhem situation here. And Team South, I mean, they've fallen to, they're no longer leading in points, but they are everywhere. Look at these elephants just running around, spread out inside Red's base the same way that Red spread out his units in Blue's base. Just going to keep our eye on that. And then Green is now spreading out his Huskers all over Yellow's base. So we're just going to have to keep our eye on this here. Yellow losing a lot of villas, but guess what? Yellow, I have too many villagers. And so actually, Green is, without realizing it, doing me a favor, reducing my vill count, allowing me to build more cavalry. Alright, so the raiding continues. These elephants slowly going down. Red did lose. Okay, his vill count is down to 80. He did lose a lot, but guess what? He has the resources now. Maybe also a good thing for him. He is getting more military units out. And both yellow and red now having very large vill counts. Purple, unfortunately, who's been leading Team North the whole game, was hit hard economically and is now being attacked by blue, albeit with trash units. And so it is a real yellow and red have, purple passed the baton over to yellow and red, and yellow and red are now trying to continue the race where purple left off. Okay, so yeah, I'm just sending these cavalry all over the place, but Burmy, he does have these Arambai, elite Arambai units, but he's trying to help green, but then his base is being attacked now by Celtic halberds, no less. Absolutely brutal against these elephants. And those elephants go down like turkeys. Turkey shoot. But, Team North is now trying to get a trade line up, and eventually, slowly, somehow, we finally realize that there are enemy barracks behind our lines. And very slowly, we start to send military units to engage that. And so you see here, I couldn't really understand how all these Huskarls keep showing up inside my, in the middle of my economy. But finally, we realize it, and we are going to try to push that off. Alright, so if you look at the vill count now, Team South is now 110, 120 villagers behind. Absolutely devastating with all these raids. Blue, actually, of all players, who was, I think, raided first by Red's Woad Raiders, now has the highest number of villagers and is actually trying to push on purple again. So keeping purple really in a corner, stuck in a corner here. But teal and green, both yellow, red, teal, and green have all been raiding each other. But I guess you could say that green and teal were just slightly outrated, They've got the units here. They actually have a lot of units here, a bunch of units sitting around. All these villagers idling. And they were just having to manage so many different attacks at the same time. And unfortunately, they can't really seem to whack all the raiders in time. Meanwhile, their own raids are now being pushed off. So Team South, can they get out of this somehow? Just gonna have to wait and see. They technically still have a lot of food. Teal still has a lot of food. If he can share that food with his allies, there might be a way for Team South to rebound from this. You see, they still have units. They're still trying to look at this. Okay, he's dropping a new castle. That's good. Blue continuing to push here. Purple down to 4 military units, and these are it. These are the 4 military units keeping them alive. 4 Hoofnices. Unfortunately, he did lose that castle in the end, although it held for a very long time. So purple is actually pressed pretty hard here, and blue is now pushing against yellow here. But at this stage, both red and yellow are maxed out, if I'm not mistaken, and we've got cavalry all over the map. The raids just keep coming, and we're going to see here that these units that were just used to wipe out these barracks are now going to engage this push by blue. So green here, you see he's down to 21 villagers. He still has these units. Okay, he finally sees that he has them. So he still has a decent army, 54 units. So he's going to come home and try to protect his fledgling economy. I think he's got 2 TCs left. He could maybe, with some scent, if he receives wood and stone from his allies, he could potentially drop a bunch of new TCs and pump out new villagers. So we're just going to have to wait and see if that happens. Teal still has 79 military units. Around 40 of these Arambai, so he's going to try to keep them alive, but all kinds of military units coming here at him. I think these spears, I had sent them to red to help him when he was being attacked by those elephants earlier. Okay, so everybody's just holding on for dear life. Teal here is pushed against the corner. He's got that last castle. Down to 3 TCs, down to 66 vills. And green does try to save his base here, but you just got to look at the big picture here. 140 vills against 310. It's 2 to 1. in terms of villagers. And so Team South is really slowly falling behind. You see the military count is becoming more and more unbalanced, and so slowly the window of rebound is slipping from Team South's talons, but who knows, maybe they can still come back from this. These 4 Hoofnices still kicking in, are still in the game. And Blue's push here is slowly eliminated. So although he's got a counter to these cavalry units, do have some help slipped in there, and so Blue's push is stopped. Alright, I think we're seeing here the final stand of the Goths. Two infantry civs fighting each other. We're just gonna have to wait and see if these Goths somehow manage to turn this game around. Green and teal holding on for dear life. Castle does go down, so the Woad Raiders are heavily outnumbered, and green does manage to mop them up. But maybe just for the time being, you see he's down to, what is it, 1 TC I think? 2 TCs still. Still hasn't built new TCs. Teal is really trying to hold on here, but there's not much left. Just a small force of Arambais hanging on for dear life. And we see that Team North has got the trade line up and pumping. Red has 17 trade cards. Can't really see the number for everyone else, but purple has 37. Yellow has 18. So Team North is trading heavily. I think that Red had lost some trade cards to those Huskarls we were watching earlier. Oh no, we almost lost it. Alright, last stand of the Goths. And so those last group of Huskarls go down. Green is down to 0 military units. And so looks like green is really at the end of the line here, losing to one last Woad Raider there. And so I do believe that Team South is, it's out of reach at this point. 1 to 3 in terms of Vil count, 1 to 3 as well in terms of military count. Teal does have a force here, still a bastion of resistance here in the corner. Blue is trying to, I guess, help out his allies and push in the middle, but too little, too late, I guess you could say. Purple is rebounding now, so purple had been hurt really bad by blue, and from that combined attack that we saw earlier. But unfortunately, unfortunately for Team South, purple was now able to rebound, and you see he's maxed out now actually. And so I think we can kind of see how this game is going. A valiant last stand here by Teal. Had really put so much pressure on Red here with those elephants and just hounded his villagers up into the hills, but Red has managed to rebound, and so now we see green does leave, in fact, and both Red and teal, or sorry, red and yellow have finished green off, so to speak. Teal holding out. Blue is actually still, no, not quite actually. He kind of seemed like he was maxed out, but he is not maxed out, and we see that yellow and purple are moving in on blue, and red is putting all kinds of pressure there on teal, and looks like we have a GG. Although big hats off to Team South, they are not giving up here. They're like, no, we're not. We didn't come this close to winning just to lose like this. I mean, so they keep playing. I really respect teams that fight hard and do not just GG at the first setback. And so we see teal and blue trying to do some last final stand here, but yeah, yellow and red and purple are all just swarming on blue. So big hats off to opponents here. I do see that they have a lot of wood and food left here. Maybe they could have shared that at a slightly earlier time, and maybe they could have somehow kept each other alive. But okay, so teal doing one last push here up into the corner of the base. Red is fleeing. These Arambai were just absolutely the bane of Team North the whole game. They were just raiding us really hard to fight them. Every time you think you have them cornered, they run for it. But I do believe, I think Purple Blue is GGing now. So it's really down to Teal here, going for one last ride. So I really respect the way he kind of had this last bastion of resistance. I guess one thing they could have done is try to set up a trade line here. Obviously, they were being raided hard, but trade cards can kind of outrun a lot of infantry units. So they might have been able to get that up. I think the trade line did help Team North there. We got raided hard by those Huskarls, really hard. Purple again having lost almost all his vills. But enough, enough whack-a-moles on the north side and enough raids on the south side. You have to do it both at the same time. Raid the other side and stop the raids from the other side at the same time. Completely open map, of course, Arabia, the Arabia map. And I guess there were just more raids going in one direction than the other. But really close game there. Team South absolutely had Team North on the ropes there. I mean, I was just just flailing here with those night raids. Alright, so we see here the last Arambai go down. I get my revenge, so to speak, for all those raids. And finally I'm alive and well, so to speak. But yeah, definitely some very scary moments in this game. So I really like the architecture of the Georgians. One of my first, or not one of my first rather, but I guess you could say that I probably haven't played the Georgians too many times here. I was really happy with just getting a feel for them. Fortified churches, using them to protect the villagers against the raids. I do regret not building the Manaspas. It was hard though to do. I mean, I have gold now, but for most of the game, of course, we were absolutely starved for gold, and did not have any gold to speak of. So it was really tough to actually. I had to sell stone to get this trade line up, but finally we did. Had to do some catching up there, and slowly we were able to get the trade line up. And just in the moment that Purple was, he'd done everything he could to keep our team in the game, and just the moment where he was on the verge of being overwhelmed, Red and Yellow coming in to help Purple at the last possible moment there. Alright, so I think Blue was AFK here at the end of the game. So there it is, the end. And we see that Tarhunt actually built 367 Woad raiders in that game. Absolutely bonkers. That is a lot of Woads, and of course very strong against other infantry units, and of course against siege units. But in this case it was absolutely critical because one of the main opponents was Goths, of course, which is an infantry civ. And so I think that was really, I guess you could, a term clutch, having the hard counter against the Huskarls, I think had a huge impact on how this battle went there and the game overall. Yeah, just really wild game. I'll just go look at the stats here quickly. And then we saw there 129 Arambai units from Teal. Absolutely impressive. Really gave us a hard time, gave us a run for our money. And that was really hard to play against. Okay, just in terms of stats here, we see that, so Burmese actually, Teal got the, I believe it's the most kills. No, not quite. Tarhunt got the most kills, 727. Really crazy there. And then we see Teal got second most. Best kill to death ratio. Just really impressive there. Just every single player in this game, I think had a really vital role. We saw Blue rebound after being raided really hard by Purple early. Green was really the main factor there, as a pocket player would be in raiding Team North. Teal just consistently very strong, strongest player I think on Team South, really pushing Red to the edge there. Purple, my goodness, really clutch. Absolutely had the team on his shoulders for a long time. Red, just doing pretty much the same on the other side, and then playing that decisive role with his road raiders throughout the game and in that critical battle. For myself, I had a rough game, to be honest, until I think up until early Imperial. I was just flailing, but I will say I was happy with the way I was able to just not let that dissuade me, not let that discourage me, and just you know get back on my game ASAP. And I managed to play a role there in raiding the other team pretty hard on the later phases of the game. So yeah, I think each player had a role. And then yeah, you see here, of course, the gold. It's because of the trade profits. So Team North did trade. Excuse me, Team South did not trade, as I was mentioning. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, and then generally speaking, we see excuse me, Team North had more with them winning later on, they had more economy. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, so Team South, really amazing job there with just having the economy early on in the game, really having the advantage. Had the most villagers built, which I think says a lot about how much green was raiding me. So I think I lost a huge number there. Some of them I had to delete later on, but did lose a lot of bills just through the raiding from green, those knights first and then later the Huskarls. He definitely gave me a tough time. So that was pretty scary, but thanks to just staying in the game and teamwork, I think we were able to team effort there. We were able to survive and keep the game going. So yeah, just an absolutely crazy game. Just was really hadn't had a game that was that long. I mean, how long was it again here? I'll just look quickly. Over an hour and 17 minutes there. So usually games on Arabia, my experience, not that long, more like 40 minutes. So just really competitive or close game like that. And both teams doing blunders, but both teams also keeping the fight alive, coordinating, and just giving tough time to the other team. So that was the first game there, game one of this series. I will now just move to the next game that I was hoping to show. All right, just loading now. Oops. All right. All right, here it is. Just 1 second here. Okay, so this was the second game here. So it's being played on Mediterranean, another ranked game, more or less the same level, somewhere between 1100 and maybe 1250 or so. I'm really happy that Mediterranean was added back into the map pool. So just one of my more favorite maps. All right, so we have on Team North, we have, that's me here playing Armenians, and then we have green playing Aztecs. Yellow, great, let's just speed it up a little bit, chose Vikings, perfect selection for Mediterranean. So just have to wait and see how that goes. And then red playing Italians. Okay, so those are the teams. Of course, these bays here allowing a lot of opportunity for walling off. But as we'll all know, really important to get these valuable fish. So you see there is a lot of fish on this map. So it is a little bit of a race to the feudal to try to get these fish there. All right, so just speeding up a little bit here. Yeah, so this was just another game just full of blunders, full of unexpected twists, rebounds, and the whole game was still open until very late into the game. And actually something happened in this game which I don't think I've seen before, so we'll just won't give it away there, but let's just wait and see. All right, so this is a bit rough here. Docks are being built right across from each other. Yellow did get it up first. He's Viking, so they do have the cheap docks, minus 15% cost on the docks. And of course, warships cost minus 15% in feudal age. So cheap docks, cheap warships. Definitely a tough opponent. Of course, Armenians, they do have the Sicilian fleet upgrade, but that doesn't come into play until Castle Age or Imperial. So both civs are actually good on water in theory, but actually Teal's advantage does not come into effect, as far as if I can remember correctly, doesn't come into effect until the Castle Age. Yellow's advantage comes into effect already in the Feudal Age. And so we're just going to have to kind of keep our eye on that. Just mention quickly here, so I'm actually playing Teal here. Decided to wall. We see here that Yellow is not walling. Interesting move. Instead, of course, gets the early second dock, and already has 5 fishing boats out down to my 3. So obviously this is going to be contested. Similar situation on the other side. Red building a second dock. Green walling off. Red also walling off, going for a more conservative wall here, not building it too far out. Definitely a little bit more conservative and kind of playing it safe. Teal here. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm way out there, going a bit too ambitious there on the wall. So I think Yellow has now aged up. You see Red, everyone has clicked up. But I do believe, actually I'm going to be the first into Feudal Age, so that is good. Got the first click up here, but yeah, we can expect an early feudal fight there. Interesting thing here, Green is actually, oh no, he's walling it off now. I thought he'd left the front open there because of the town center, but he did not. So I'm just going to speed it up here a little bit. So Teal, I am going out for the second dock, a bit late with hindsight. Yellow actually going for his third dock. So right off the bat, we can see there is a disadvantage there. So I am beginning. I already had my first galley being built before Yellow had reached Feudal Age. So we're just going to see how that evolves. A little bit of tinkering happening here, but not too much. All right, so let's just speed it up a little bit more. Alright, so Green doing the smart move. He's building 4 docks actually, compared to Red's 3. I am still stuck at my 2 here. Alright, so here come the opening salvos. And this is, gotta say, a pretty frustrating engagement. Yellow doing a good job of microing there. I get intimidated and I decide I'm gonna go try to repair my ships. I'm not really sure what I was thinking here. I really should have built that demo. So I think we're seeing a common theme here. I kind of have a rough start to the game. Things are kind of looking dicey already. 4 galleys against 3. 2 idle villagers, idle fishing boats. So things are starting to cluster up here, but I'm still hoping to somehow salvage this. I do have these villagers. I'm hoping to kind of repair my boats in the fight, but as his cluster is getting bigger, do I at least get one? Okay, at least I get 1 ship, but unfortunately the advantage is growing. Fire ship battle on the other side of the map. Green going for his 5th dock now, actually. So he does target the villagers, and Yellow, this is just completely snowballing, and Teal, I am being rapidly pushed off the water. And so much for my weird attempt there to repair my galleys. I guess it works a bit better with fire ships. I've done it in the past with fire ships, it worked well. But yeah, not so much with galleys. So not completely sure what I was thinking. I guess we play and we learn. Green, though, doing a much better job here on the other side of contesting the water and actually raiding Red's fishing boats. So just as Yellow was raiding Teal's fishing boats, we see that Green has succeeded in raiding Red's. Alright, so there are some demos in there. Let's just see if Teal is able to pull off a money shot. So Green has succeeded in raiding Red's fishing boat, and Green's fish are still fishing. So actually, Team North is actually ahead in the score, despite Teal being wiped out here, and here's the attempt. Let's see. Alright, so very nearly was able to get a very sweet money shot. Unfortunately, had the right concept, but yeah, did not make it. But green has succeeded in winning this side of the map and is now going to be raiding yellow's fish. So despite, despite teal being pushed off the water, green just doing overtime here, took out red's fishing boats, taking out yellow's fishing boats. And yellow is actually repairing his galleys instead of protecting his fishing boats. And he loses them. So I guess the demos did have a indirect advantage there ultimately. And Team North, actually no, we've now fallen. No, we're back ahead again. Yeah, so it's going to go back and forth a bit there. Green, holding the water, still has his fishing boats going. So I think Team North has the advantage. Teal has finished this wall and green as well. Yellow, still no wall. So we'll just have to keep an eye on how that evolves. Alright, we're seeing slowly here there's going to be a naval contest here between green and yellow. Let's just have to see who wins it. So green opting for a bit of a combination of course, fire ships, galleys, and a couple of demos. So I guess you could say a well-rounded fleet. Team North remains ahead. Yeah, so Aztec's not exactly known, as far as I know, for water fights, but green is kind of stealing the show here. Has all kinds of fishing boats in action, and is eliminating red's presence on the water, at least for the time being. Alright, so I'm just going to speed it up here a little bit. Alright, so a couple of idle villages here, but for the most part, yellow has rebuilt, and yellow has actually clicked up. Both green and teal have clicked up. I don't believe red has yet. Red has not clicked up yet. Alright, so Team South now going ahead in the score. I'm not really sure what I was thinking here. I guess I thought I could still help out green somehow, but unfortunately yellow spots it. But green does the same thing on the other side. So just got to keep our eye here on how this engagement goes. Alright, yellow does get the upgrade out, so he does have the upgraded ships. And we have to watch here. Okay, so green, 10 seconds. Does he get it up? Let's see. And he dies in the nick of time. Alright, so here's the moment of truth. Who will win the Battle of the Mediterranean? Fortunately, no help from teal here, but red does have a small contingent. Alright, a couple of demos there. But unfortunately, red's small contribution does actually have an impact. And green has to spend some time shooting those down. And he's got 11 galleys versus red's or yellow's 23. So yellow actually has double the number of galleys, so this is looking a bit rough for green. He was able to fish away though most of the fish here in this area. Yellow has just 3 fishing boats left. Red is not fishing at all. Yellow has finally walled off, actually not quite, more or less though. Alright. Yeah, so we see here there's a bit of a timing point, you know, it's like how long should you be contesting the water before you should give it up and focus on land? It's a bit of a tough call. At a certain point, it becomes lost resources to commit to it too long. On the other hand, right now, Team South is investing heavily, and some might say over-investing, but they do pull it off. So they do take the water, and green's fleet, which had valiantly contested this body of water, has now been destroyed. So Team North has been pushed off of the water, but that has not dissuaded us. We are booming as we normally would. 4 TCs here, 4 TCs here as well. Yellow is at 3 TCs and red is at 3. So although Team South has taken the water, They are actually behind on TCs, although ahead in the score overall. So just gonna have to keep our eye on that a little bit. Whoop, is that a trade cog here? I think that must have been built by accident. Oh, look at that. I had no idea that yellow was trading there. And here starts the kind of journey of Jason and the Argonauts. Somehow I managed to get this guy down there. But I don't believe it has much of an impact beyond that. Alright, so Team South has won the water. So we're just going to have to wait and see what they do with it. At the moment they're kind of just exploring. I'll just go click on them here. And so this is their vision. They're just kind of exploring around, checking for docks. So when you win the water, I guess this is really an opportunity to do two things on this map. One, of course, destroy all buildings that are in range of the water. For example, these houses. And another is to punch holes through the walls. So I think that's two of the main functions that you need to do if you won the water. Make holes in their walls so that you can start raiding them, and destroy all buildings in range of the water. So, for example, these houses here. So that of course, this is armchair criticism here, or rather armchair commentary. This is coming from the guy that got pushed off the water first, so obviously not really in a position to give that much advice, but I would say that would be, generally speaking, what someone should try to do once they've taken the water. So instead, he does opt to patrol here, and something else is going on. He is embarking on these transports. And he is transporting villagers across. So if we just look at what I can see from my vision here, I actually see this immediately. But I don't really have much to go against it at the moment. Green has his castle up, I have my castle up. I can't really send troops in time here. He's got the ships right there. And so I am left to just watch helplessly as a castle is being dropped on my side. A lot of the time, it can be a little bit of a disadvantage though to do these drops, because obviously I've got more access to my production buildings than he has access to his. He can only build units from here, from whatever he's dropping. I meanwhile have my entire base. So I think there is a bit of a disadvantage to doing this, and it is a bit risky, but he's going all in, and he is dropping a castle. And the other side here, mostly dormant, castles going down on both sides. So far, no action. I will note that this wall is still up though, so we're just going to have to keep our eye on that. Alright, so this is just getting absolutely painful. Yellow is dropping a second castle here. Teal, this is me here. My army count only at 11. We compare it to 50 from yellow, although a lot of that is water. So this is just absolutely frustrating. I'm going to try to deny this, but I don't think I'm able. And so I opt to stay out of range. And so very slowly, he's just kind of leapfrogging into my base. Villagers going down. Things are looking rough for me once again. And I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. Definitely not my best games. But I kind of enjoy the adversity, I guess you could say, the challenge. And so let's just see how this goes. So he does get the Treb out. Both of team... No. Yellow is in the imp, but red not yet, although he's going up. Both of teal and green are in the Imperial Age. Alright, so this is just one of those absolutely glorious moments here. We see conscription is being upgraded, and he is taking down the castle. So let's just keep an eye on this here. Does it get finished? Alright, so absolutely painful. The castle goes down, and conscription was at 97%. An absolutely frustrating moment here. We were chatting while this was happening, and I can probably admit I was a little bit expressing my frustration. But, yeah, keeping my army alive. I know that I'm not strong enough to engage him yet. He's kind of really just turning my base into open season here. My base is kind of fully exposed, but I will say that I was really relieved that he was just kind of attacking random buildings, not necessarily attacking much of my economy. And so I do a massive evacuation here, and I am scrambling with my villagers to get out of here. Really happy that I was Armenian, so I do have these carts, kind of overkilling here, but that I can pretty easily move my villagers, move and rebuild. Alright, so this is how that went down. Alright, so we see a battle here on the left side of the map here. So, meanwhile that's happening, the first proper engagement here, and we see Aztec monks just having an absolute ride, taking out a bunch of scorpions, and managing to give Red a bit of an indication of where this battle might go. Keeps his monks alive, and I do believe he runs with them now. He puts them in the castle, and slowly Red is just losing his units, and so Red actually has to retreat. So I am going to slow it down here slightly. So we see Yellow is smack in the middle of my base. He dropped the third castle here, but built it behind. Did not build it here, which might have been a better location. He's taken my gold though and my stone. At the same time though, we see that Yellow's, what's this? A bunch of arbalesters running across the map. What is going on here? If we click on this this unit here, we can see that, I think we can see it, that the, maybe not. But anyway, the rally point is probably here. But because this wall is still up, the units are running across the map. Oh my. Yellow has done so many things well in this game, but unfortunately we see a little bit of a blunder here. And so his units are running across the map. Green doing short work of them. They are not attacking, they are kind of just walking in to the slaughter. Alright, so we're just going to go back to normal speed here. Alright, so I have kept my army alive. I've been feeling pretty desperate here, just scrambling with my villagers, trying to keep my vill count up. I'm at 125. I'm actually have the largest amount of villagers in the game. I didn't realize that. So definitely keeping my villagers alive. And something must have happened here. Yellow must have not looked for a moment. He sends these guys in, and unfortunately they just kind of walk right in. This is my opportunity, and the counterattack begins. So this was a bit of a shock, I won't lie. I actually thought that game might have been lost. And I was not expecting to be able to do much of a, I mean, hoping to put a fight for sure, but was not expecting to be able to run through like this, but I am able to do that. So I take out these trebs, these expensive trebs. Got these composite bowmen in the back. Armenians are not actually a cavalry civ, but I needed something that was chunky enough to kind of take on these berserks, and so I opt for the cavaliers. And so I'm rebounding here, trying to reclaim my base, reclaim my gold. But he now has berserks, so we're just going to try to keep our eye on both sides here. So, a bit interesting here, this wall is still up, and this is absolutely causing Yellow problems. His units are just running across the map, he doesn't see it. Meanwhile, he's got a fleet here, which could easily punch a hole, or relatively easily punch a hole through the wall. But for whatever reason, they don't really notice it or think of it at the time. And so this wall holds just a little bit longer, giving me that much more breathing room. Alright, Yellow dropping his fourth castle here. But his army is divided. A lot of his units are over here. And so, once again, I'm going in here to try to deny this castle. Alright, a really close fight here. Italian archers. He probably has the Pavis upgrade done, which gives foot archers more pierce armor and armor in general. Drops another castle. Green's castle does go down, but he keeps his monks alive for the most part. And he is just converting the heck out of these arbalesters. He's got the counter. And Red is forced to kind of retreat here. does not have the numbers to keep pushing. He did take down the castle, but does not have the numbers to keep pushing. Meanwhile, I am desperately trying to stop the tide here. And I've got my one mangonel, and I'm going to try to take out these villas. Castle is up to 70% more or less. 2 more villagers here. More or less 70% complete. I'm really trying to stop the tide here and keep control of my base. I've been pushed off this section here. And lo and behold, I do manage to deny this castle. So this is really, for me, a huge amount of relief there in the game. I just, until now, I've been kind of just telling my ally Green, I think I'm dying, and suddenly I say, actually, I think I'm okay now. So Green was not in a position to help, and so I guess he was happy to hear that he didn't have to help after all at this point. So we are, though, squished here in the corner of the map. Team South does have a larger share of the map. You see they are over here as well. They've got the water. They're at both corners. They've got markets here and all the way over here. Absolutely wild trade line if they can get that up. Still have the water, so they're still fishing a bit. And pretty soon, finally, they're going to break through this gate. He saw the issue. And this gate, this damnable gate, finally goes down. And so finally, Yellow's production line is united. He can now send reinforcements directly from his base to join the reinforcements from his landing. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that impacts the game. And he opts to drop another castle here. So this castle did not go up, but he is dropping a castle here to maintain control of this gold. Meanwhile, Green has kind of flipped the script and is now just going absolutely bonkers with the conversions. And just converting everything. He's got block printing, so he's got the range. So he can kind of convert units from a range. And just with a little bit of trash units in the front line, he was able to give enough distraction. But it is really interesting how this is going here, because you can see that Team South has gold units. They're ahead in the score. You can see they've got a lot of gold. Team North, much more broke. We're definitely squished here. We didn't even manage to claim this relic. It's controlled by the fleet. You know, we're just gonna have to watch this here. Yellow has now managed to unite his production lines, and so actually I would say the factors are still notably in favor of Team South. Elite Berserks slowly getting fully upgraded, and I am trying to steal get my own gold here, which I had been deprived of. Alright, so Green here beginning to flex the muscles a little bit and is going on the offense and is now looking to take out this castle the same way his castle is taken out. He's got 5 trebs, absolutely glorious, and he's got a large amount of fully upgraded skirmishers. Plus 5, I guess I'm forgetting now that they have I think the Aztecs have extra strong skirmishers, which is absolutely amazing against Italian archers. So these arbalesters are hurting. I did manage to protect my gold here, so I still do have some gold income. And so Team North is actually maxed out here. Or maybe this is it actually. Both teams are maxed out. And so what's actually happening right now is, because Team South has still a large amount of units population cap sequestered in a fleet, his army is just all the time going to be a little bit smaller than Team North, which is a real disadvantage. The game is turning into a land battle, and yet Team South continues to have a large amount of units just on the water and not really doing much. This population is not really achieving much so far, although here we have some cannon galleons coming out. Alright, so this actually was a very scary moment. Yellow, with his elite berserks, took out my force, and this is a moment where once again I'm calling for help from my ally. But I am really hesitant to do that, because I can see that Green is pushing here. He's managed to take out this castle here, and he is actually now on the offense. So I think it really would have been a great opportunity for this fleet to maybe come here and help out Red, because right now Red does not really have an answer to this. Although Yellow is helping out with these cannon guns, so that's good. So a really close game here, but Team North remains on the back foot. But our villager count is ahead by around 50, so as much as we are, and actually our military count too, so as much as we're behind in the score, and behind in terms of map possession, we actually have more villagers and more military units. But you notice most of our units are trash units, and most of their units are gold units, although the numbers are beginning to show, and like I said, because Red and Yellow have so many units sequestered on sea population, Team North has an advantage in terms of numbers on the land battle, and it's a strange phenomenon in this game that if you have, for example, an army of 100 versus an army of 90, you'd think that the battle would end with the player with 100 having maybe 20 units left after defeating the other player, but actually it's not like that. There's a cascading effect where if 100 go against 90, the winner might have like 50 or 60 units left. These are just estimates, but it's basically this kind of snowball effect, this kind of cascade effect that happens when you're outnumbered. So this is what we're beginning to see here. Red is just being pushed further and further back and doesn't really have an answer right now. He's trying to drop more production buildings. They do have a lot of resources, so they can exchange resources. So Red is definitely going to a bit of a panic here, and he's trying to drop as many production buildings as he can. Trying to keep a small force alive here and see if he can get a critical mass. That's what this game is a lot of the time what it's about, getting a critical mass. But so far, neither Yellow nor Red are able to get that critical mass. And so because they have so many units in the water, they're constantly outnumbered. But here comes Yellow, and look at this, is just absolutely bonkers. He's got, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 castles. 6 castles on the front line. So as much as I'm saying that we've got an advantage, Team North, definitely desperate times for me here. I mean, I am just, I feel like I'm being pushed into the corner. I've got my relic there, but I was able to transfer a lot of my villas, or at least I think I'm going to do it soon. A lot of my villagers are going to be going down. And Team North, we've got our trade line up and running. So we do have a trade line here, but so does Team South. So both Team South and Team North are now trading as well. We've now entered the trade phase of the game. And a bit of a stalemate here, but Green continuing to push, continuing to convert units. 5 trebs against my 2, and unfortunately my trebs just... I'm targeting this castle and he's targeting my trebs, so of course he does take out these castles. Oh my god, they're really missing, aren't they? That treb just does not want to get hit. Alright, it does go down finally, but so does the castle. The last shot of the treb got the castle. That's great. But unfortunately we have another castle here. So I was going to say that because we have Red as Italians, they do have the Silk Road upgrade, which does allow for cheap trade units. So we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on that. I think they're building trade units still. And so I believe that's also could be a team bonus. I don't quite remember now if it's a team bonus or just for Italians. But definitely Yellow and Red have the ingredients here to get an absolutely wicked trade line going. They are trading across the map. Meanwhile, Team North's trade line is not quite as long, although we are noticing it. And this is one of the more absolutely amazing moments here. So I do call for help here. I just feel like I just need that extra bit of help here. These castles are just giving me such a tough time. And Green sends one wave. He manages to send one wave of elite Jaguar warriors, fully upgraded Garland wars and the whole deal up. And this absolutely plays a critical role here. We corner these Vikings, and these Vikings are going down like Ragnar and like the legend of Wagner, just fighting to the death here in this corner. But unfortunately for Yellow, his Berserker force is taken out. And although he still has 50 units, his Berserker count is down to 1. It's almost all in fleet, not in actual units on the ground. And so because of that decisive contribution here, it really gives me, based on that, I'm able to really rebound and slowly take out these castles with my trebs. I'm really low on gold, but slowly the trade is trickling in. And in fact, we decide to extend the trade line, so now our trade line is pretty much as long as theirs. And in fact, I've got 35 trade cards. My allies got 14, and the enemies have 12. And where is it? I can't actually see it. Oh, 1. I guess just 9. So 10 in total, 12 versus 14 and 35. So Team North does have an advantage with the trade units. So even though Team South is actually ahead in the score still, they just don't quite have a solution here, and these units keep going in single file. They don't seem to be really grouping up. A couple of more attempts here from Yellow to kind of respond with he is focusing here on that, but alright, so this is also one of the more sad moments. Green decides, alright, I've helped you, I'm gonna go back to my front line, sends them over here, and these ships that I've been complaining about or criticizing the whole game, unfortunately they do have a very important function here, and they take out most of these Jaguar warriors. And worse than that, because of this, they discover our trade line. So as I was saying, we were ahead in the trade, or at least we're ahead right now in the trade. We've got more trade cards. Our gold is trickling in. We're rebounding. We've got the advantage on the southern front. But Yellow, who still has these ships, is now discovering our trade line. So Team South is discovering Team North's trade line, and we still do not have a way of raiding Team South's trade line. So a bit of a one-direction trade here, or a threat of trade raiding. So we're just going to have to observe how it goes. But Yellow keeps not really having the numbers, and so he keeps coming with these very expensive trebs, and unfortunately he kind of just loses them. And unfortunately for Team South, every time they kind of get some momentum going and get some siege going, they lose it. Although he still has a bunch of trebs to spare, castles to spare, so we'll have to go see how that goes. And here, Red has the elevation, so let's see if he manages to do this. And I think I missed it, but at one point Green misclicked, and he unfortunately, all of his monks just walked into Red's base, and so unfortunately Green, who was converting so many units with his monks, actually loses his monks. So his advantage with the monks is temporarily lost here. But because we have that gold income, the monks start popping out again. You see he's got 5 right now. So this was my attempt here. I really thought, okay, we need to raid their trade line the same way they're about to raid ours. So I decide to run through. But unfortunately, Yellow does see it, and he manages to respond to it, and my units unceremoniously die. So much for that. And the situation is actually a bit rough here. We got these cannon galleons here just bombarding the coastline. My base is absolutely spread out. I've got town centers down here now, or at least I'm about to build them. Oh yeah, there's one right there. And thankfully I realized that there was wood elsewhere on the map. I actually thought I was going to have to send my wood hackers back to the front line and take this wood here. I was really nervous about that actually, because I knew there were castles here, but my ally did flag that there was a lot of wood here, and I see that Green has taken a lot of map control, and so we're able to keep that wood income going. So Yellow did try to do what I did as well, clicked his military units through. I do chase them down though, and so that raid fails, and slowly I've got trebs here taking out that drop. But Yellow still has his fleet. But I think this is really where the decisive hammer falls. So Green just never was stopped. He is continuing to push. And Red, although he's got all kinds of production built up now, his military force is only at 47 compared to 76 from Green. And so we see that Green's units are now walking straight into his base. He's got these Garland Warrior Aztec champions, and Red has nothing but skirmishers. If he had maybe built some Italian hand cannoneers right now, he has some gold, And so that would have maybe had an impact. But there you see it. They leave the game, they GG, and this game is decided. So really, just a very unexpected turn there. I mean, I have to be honest. When this drop happened here, I just couldn't believe how easily he was able to drop these castles in my base. I really thought, wow, like if I allow him to do a drop that easily, I mean, I'm not sure how much hope there is to turn the game around. But he didn't completely capitalize on that early advantage. He didn't really capitalize on having thrown me off balance. He kind of spent a little bit too time solidifying his position, a little bit of spent too much time just targeting my buildings, which of course I am just spamming all across the map. I always say this: buildings are kind of the overpowered unit of the game. I mean, they just take so much fire to take. It takes so long to take them down. So if an opponent spends too much time attacking buildings, that could negate your advantage. So Yellow took a little bit too much time there in the early phase of his drop, and I was able to just spread my villagers to the four corners of the map, or anyway, at least this corner of the map, and was able to keep my army alive. And then we saw that counterattack, which allowed me to keep this front stable. Meanwhile, Green, with his just incredible monks here, we see he's got 13. They've gone back up to 13. All those conversions. He has the perfect answer to Italians. He's got the skirmishers, the Aztec skirmishers, against the Italian Pavis archers. Anyway, just in general, Italian archers. And then he's got the Aztec Garland warrior champions, which are just absolutely brutal in the infantry. They take a lot of hits, and are a relatively cheap unit if you've got your trade running. And Italians just don't have a melee unit that really counters that. So we were talking after the game, the only thing they really could have done to overwhelm or to beat this combination of monks, skirmishers, and champions, Aztec champions, is just numbers. You just need to counterattack with a sufficiently critical force to kind of overwhelm the Aztec army and just throw those monks off balance so that they don't have time to get any conversions in, and force the monks to retreat. And once the monks retreat, then you can surround the exposed army and kind of eliminate it. But unfortunately, the front was just too stable. They didn't get that critical force up in time, and that allowed Green to just convert. As we see here, we see even a converted cannon, interesting for an Aztec to have. And Green was able to systematically move ahead. Although he was on the back foot at the very beginning, he was able to turn that around. And part of the reason they never really had that critical mass is, of course, again, as I've said so many times, they kept this fleet too long. And I mean, having some fleet, it can be really useful on this map. I mean, let's say 10 cannon galleons, for example, to just wipe out all the opponent's buildings on the coastline, or to raid the trade line, maybe a couple of galleons mixed in. So we would have been fine in the end. So you see here at the very end of the game, I was dropping a new market. Green had a market there, and so our plan was we actually evacuated our trade carts after it was raided, and we would have had a trade line that would have just skimmed the very edge of the map, and so we would have been out of range from this fleet. But Yellow did a really good job of raiding it. So that's what you should do, I think, in my opinion, on this map if you have a fleet. But maybe not with that many units, not that many ships, because the more ships you have, the smaller your land army is. And if your army is too small, you don't quite have that critical mass, you lose that cascading effect in the battle, and slowly the tide turns. But despite all that, Yellow did just an absolutely incredible job in putting pressure here. You can see that this was the starting position of my base. I think this is where my TC was, my starting TC was. You can see where I've ended up in this game. My base is spread out way back here. It's down here. I'm over here. So Yellow just did an absolutely amazing job of pushing and almost knocking me out of the game. But that blunder there with the wall, he did not remember to eliminate the wall in time, and so a lot of his archers were just kind of walking across the map, walking straight into Green's arms, and Green probably, did not mention it, of course, to them. Was very happy to make short work of those yellow archers or arbalesters that were walking in the wrong direction because of the rally point that was being blocked by the wall. So blunders on both sides. I definitely had my share of blunders there with my very dismal attempt to fight on the water. That really hurt me bad. But once again, as with the last game, I'm happy with the way that I was able to not let that dissuade or discourage me too much. And I kept in the game and was able to rebound. But of course, big hats off, I think, to my ally here who came in with those Aztec Jaguars at a critical time to make a decisive punch there against yellow to really put a stop to any more ambitions yellow might have to beat me there. And of course, just with pushing red back here. And, red, I do sympathize with him. It's a really tough matchup against Aztecs as Italians. And so definitely had a hard fight there. So yeah, just an absolutely crazy game. The game ended, and I think that yellow still had some resources there that he might have been able to share. So I actually think that red and yellow still had a chance if they had somehow managed to, to rally a little bit. They never did finish fishing out the fish on the water, which was a bit surprising to us at the end of the game. We looked at the replay and we wondered, how is it that they took the water and they did not finish fishing the water? So bit strange to see, I guess, but obviously they were thinking about the next step. Yellow was focused on his drop, and so did a, as I was saying, a really decisive drop there, which really threw me off balance. So anyway, but just a couple of observations there about the game. Once again, a very long game, over an hour. I think pretty much the length of the other game. This was a 2v2, of course, ranked, and just really went back and forth, as you guys saw. Just really a surprising game, and really enjoyed it. Just quickly just have a look at the stats here quickly. Military stats here. All right, so we see that Tarhunt just getting a huge amount of kills there, slightly more than yellow. We see that yellow had a great time raiding me, so I think a lot of those kills were from my last count there. So you can see that, but. I think every player had a pretty good game. Red also, absolutely solid. So I think green, definitely. I think MVP of the game. But I think every player here played really well. We do see that red. What's this? 40 desertions. So green was able to convert 51 units with those Aztec block printing monks. Really shows you what Aztecs are able to do when they use monks. So absolutely impressive. I haven't actually ever seen that before. So that's one of the things I was going to mention at the beginning of the game. I don't think I've ever seen this many conversions before. 51. That's definitely a record in any game that I've played. And the other thing I was going to mention is that if you go look at the score, Team South is actually still ahead in the score, which is also something I don't think I'm not sure if I've ever seen that. Till the end of the game, we were behind in the score. And so until the very end of the game, I felt like we were on the back. Or definitely, I could see that the tide was turning, but definitely I wouldn't say that we were necessarily, until like the very couple last minutes there where green finally pushed into red. It really wasn't sure if we were necessarily winning just because of the score here. But I guess I overestimate the score. And actually, if you look at the battles on the land, Team South was losing. So, but yeah, it's another thing I haven't seen before, so I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, just look at the economy here. So we see trade. So that's one thing I did do well in this game. I did trade, and so I was well set up for the late game. But overall, you see the stats are pretty even here. Those relics, of course, playing a role. We see all the players kind of sent each other resources. Good sign that there was a lot of teamwork on both sides. So really interesting. All right, castles. Yellow, 5 castles. I guess it's not that many. It seemed like it was a bit more than that. I guess he had a 6th castle being built, but it never actually was finished. But yeah, absolutely bonkers to see all those castles there in my base. Really a bit scary if you're the one being castle dropped. And then, trade units. You see that Team North did have more trade units in the end. So you see Team South did trade, but not quite enough, even though they did have that Italian Silk Road advantage. They did not quite trade enough, I think. And despite, Vikings having those great archers. Unfortunately, those archers, as I was saying earlier, unfortunately didn't really weren't able to fight at the front line because of the wall still being up. So a lot of different elements coming together, a lot of different puzzle pieces to create this absolutely kind of weird dynamic where you're one team ahead, but through, you can do 10 things right. I think I've already said this, 10 things right, but the 11th thing you do wrong, that's the thing that's going to sink you. So it's almost like you need to really have like a perfect combination of factors to really things to go well to I guess to win a close game like this. But yeah, could have maybe gone either way. I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely Green's gameplay here was really impressive. And yeah, these are the other stats here. So, and yeah, just kind of pretty standard stats there. So back and forth, absolutely bonkers. Having most games don't quite have that many back and forths in general. So just really fun when the games go like that. And one last thing maybe I'll mention is I think I've uploaded a video about this before as well, but it's really interesting how the team that wins the water seems to very often lose the game. It's almost like they overdo it on the water. It's counterintuitive because a lot of the time we play this map here, Mediterranean, you think the team that wins the water in general should be the one winning the game. But if anything, this game proves that no, that's not the case. If you lose the water, don't quit. Stay in the game. Keep fighting. Be resilient. And like this game, you may still have a chance to win. So anyway, so that's just my little thought there. Take away from the game. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed these games. Definitely had a lot of fun playing them and also streaming them right now. And yeah, I hope to stream some more games in future. But in the meantime, yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.